Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Waharakhakwadash, with Yahweh. That's the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai, that's whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's his true name. And the Rakhakwadash, that is the Holy Spirit. And I would like to also give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all you brothers out there. And just want to do a quick lesson. It's a response to the elder brother out here in Chicago, Kapataza. His YouTube page is Sirach 4 and 28. And he made a video recently with another brother, all right? Which, you know, he's becoming an elder brother himself too, the brother Shakal. And they did a video talking about how Jake needs to man up, okay? And it was an excellent exhortation video, and I highly recommend brothers watch it. And you know, the brothers were getting into how, you know, Jake really needs to, you know, step it up, all right? Especially Jakes who've been in this truth, you know, for 5, 10, you know, 15 years, right? Now, of course, all of us, but especially those brothers who are starting to get seasoned, you know, like I said, in particular around like the 10-year mark, you know, going into 15, so on and so forth, all right? You know, you can't be doing the same things that you did when you first came into this truth, okay? You know, you really got to learn how to maneuver, you know, in this place properly. Hey, the scriptures talk about you got to walk with wisdom, okay? You see? You know, you really have to apply the things that you're reading to your daily life, okay? You know, you got all this knowledge, you know, from the scriptures, you know, all this wisdom, right? But, you know, you're not, you know, applying it to your life. What's the point of it then? You see? Okay? You know, hey, brothers got to learn how to, you know, drink less. That was something that the brother was touching on heavily. You know, that drinking demon, because that's really what it is. Okay? You know? Now, there's nothing wrong, you know, with having a drink here or there, right? You know, relaxing. Even the scriptures even talk about it. You know, drinking, you know, in moderation, you know, is good for you. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you might be around a few brothers, you know, you haven't, you know, drank in, you know, some time. There's nothing wrong with having, you know, a glass or two of wine, you know, having a shot or two, right? Enjoying each other's, you know, presence. There's nothing wrong with that. But see, what happens is Jake, you know, they'll hang out, and the next thing you know, they're, you know, drunk, you know, not walking in the spirit, completely out of order. Now they got that woe is me spirit, because that's the reason why a lot of Jakes, you know, even drink, okay? And when I say drink, I mean like heavily. It's because a lot of brothers be depressed. You know, they got that depression spirit on them, that woe is me spirit, which is a goddamn demon, by the way, okay? You see? You know? So they want to drink, you know, till they're, you know, shit-faced, as the brother was saying, right? They want to drink at that, you know, drink that much, so really they can run away from the problems. But look, check it. Hey, this is a reality check. Those problems are still going to be there. They're not running away, okay? You see? Those things aren't running away. They're still going to be there in the morning. So the best thing that you can do is face it head on, okay? Like a man. And you see the scriptures in the book of Job say that. It says what? This is what, mind you, this is what the Lord said to Job. And this goes for all of us. The Lord said, gird up your loins. I demand it. Meaning, man up, Jake. Man the fuck up already. All right? Stop being little boys. You see? That's what we have to do. Man up. Okay? You know, look, enough of this. Enough of this game playing, enough of this little boy stuff. You know, we're entering into some serious times, and it's the spirit right now. You know, a lot of, different apostles, elders, right? You know, high-ranking, brothers who've been around for some time. You know, that's the spirit that's going around right now where, look, you brothers, can't be making mistakes like that. You know, there's less room for error nowadays, okay? And the reason why is because we're getting closer to the end of this thing. And you can't be slipping up like that over simple things. You know, drinking, these women, okay? Getting mad at the job. And I get it, stuff occurs. I'm not saying that you can't be upset, that you can't be angry, But you got to learn how to deal properly. That's my whole thing. And this goes first and foremost to myself, This goes first and foremost to myself. All right? This is something, I'll say this, over the years that I've learned. I don't drink that much anymore. I may have, a little here, a little there when I see brothers. But I don't even do it like that anymore. I don't go home and every night, and I got to make sure I have, a couple, beers. Get myself a half pint. You know what I'm saying? Get myself a bottle. No, man. We're past that. Okay? I don't get mad at my woman for the smallest reasons. Because you'll have Jake being a line in their house. And it's lucky that I'm talking a lot. I'm quoting scriptures. I'm just, doing a little walk and talk. If I'm able to pull out scripture, so be it. If I don't, so be it as well. It's all in the spirit now. All right, but the scriptures talk about don't be a lion in your house. You got certain Jake, they'll lose their marbles over the smallest things. Now granted, I'll say this. I can't tell you how you deal with your maiden, right? All right, but I'm giving you spiritual advice. All right, don't get mad at every little thing. The scriptures talk about it. What? These women are the weaker vessel. You got to expect them to to fall, to mess up. The scriptures say in Sirach, what? Don't be like roughly paraphrasing, surprised or amazed if she come up against you. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is, man. All right. Now, of course, they it's a time and a season for everything. All right. Sometimes you got to be rough. It's a lot. You hold up. My bad. But it says, it's a time and a season for everything. Yeah, so sometimes you got to be rough. Other times you got to be soft. Other times you got to do, you got to talk to this woman. You know what I mean? Just some spiritual advice. And like I said, every man in his maiden deal differently. Okay? But I'm just trying to, throw some stuff out there. Then you got Jace, being too OR at the job. Like, relax, buddy. Okay? Relax. We get it. You got a faggot at the job. We get it. Yeah, you got, some, black bitch over you. You know what I'm saying? We get it. It sucks. You know what I mean? We've all been there. We've all had to deal with these things. But at the end of the day, hey, you got to gird up and shit, man. Sometimes you just got to suffer, And look at Yahweh Shai. That's the best example. Yahweh Shai literally never sinned, never did anything wrong. Was completely on point, 100% in that carnation, right? In that lifetime. And he, was humble. He had to have people spit on him, attack him, lie on him, so on and so forth. This stuff, happened to the Lord, and we're not great. Look, the servant is not greater than his master. Okay. So we're gonna have to do things like that. We're gonna have to take the low. All right. And look, let the Lord justify you. Let the Lord allow you to get the big W. You know what I'm saying? All right. Like I said, there's a time and a season for everything too, brothers. Sometimes you got to speak up. Okay. Sometimes you got to defend yourself. Whatever the case may be. But sometimes Jake be just going overboard. You're off balance. You know, that's what it comes down to. Proverbs 11:1 says, what a false balance is an abomination to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? You see? You know? You brothers need to start getting a balance of things. I had to tell a brother who's been in it a couple years now. I forgot how long the brother's been in it for. I think maybe 5-6 years. Something like that. I don't know. I'm losing track of time. But he's been in for a little bit of time now. You know, he's starting to get a little more seasoned. And he was just telling me about his health because he'll be mentioning things in the group chat. And I asked him, I was like, you know, everything good with your health and all that? And he's like, yeah, you know, just, you know, sometimes here and there I'll be messed up. And then he was telling me how much sleep he gets. Brother's telling me he's barely getting like 4 hours of sleep. I looked at him, I'm like, Ak, what are you doing? And he says something on the lines of, you know, Ak, I just want to make sure I get all my spiritual work in. I want to do this and do that before I go to bed. I looked at the brother and I said, look, man, you're going to have to, fall back on some of these things. Now, I'll say this, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, okay? Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Don't be simple here, all right? Because you might have somebody be like, man, he said that they don't do the work of the Lord. You have some scoffer say some stupid shit. But take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Look, sometimes you might not be able to get to that lesson. Sometimes you might not be able to watch a video or read. It happens. Because you have to remember, you got to take care of yourself physically too. This is a temple that the Lord gave you, and you have to take care of it. I told the brother, no, bro, you can't be going to bed at 11, 12 o'clock when you got to wake up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, whatever time he said he has to get up so he can get to work at like 6 or something. I said, no, man, you can't do these things. Your body's literally getting destroyed. I said, you're going to have to fall back, Now, of course, maybe a night or two, hey, you push it out. You say, you know what, I want to make sure I do the Lord's work, get everything in, Of course, hey, you do the sacrifice. We all do it, But there's times where you just got to fall back. Hey, the scripture say in Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter, it says what? It says, be not over righteous over much. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? And that's what I quoted to the brother. You're going to destroy yourself, okay, by doing too much, And that's something that you learn over time. You get seasoned in this thing, all right? You see? But Jake's got to start using their minds more. Like, hey, let's start thinking. Let's start, having some common sense here, All right. Then, like the brother Kapatazad, to land back off his video, he mentioned what? He said Jake's needs, and this is starting with the apostles, really. They mentioned this. The apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar. Apostle Gabar has been heavy on this the last year, going on 2 years now. Brothers should not be overweight, okay? Brothers need to fucking move around. Even right now, I'm doing a walk and talk. I'm getting my walk in for the day, all right, while doing a video. I'm in a park right now, okay? That's almost like a forest preserve, all right? You see all this? Get out. Wherever you're at, get out. Start doing stuff. This will start clearing your mind up, getting you more calm. Man, I can hear the birds. I don't know if it's picking up the sound, on the phone, but I can hear the birds. It's soothing. Right next to me is a small creek. I can hear the water moving, okay? I'm in the shade. I'm good. A little bit of sunlight, Jake needs to start doing things that are positive. But Jake will sit around and, go back to the house. Oh, I got to get that 6-pack. Oh, I'm going to be mad at this woman. Get the fuck away from the woman if she's making you that goddamn mad. Get the fuck away from that bitch, man. Why don't you go do something with your woman and maybe she'll fucking start, being a little happy. Like, damn, bro, like, you brothers act like you can't do anything. That's like normal. That shit be blowing me sometimes. Like, Jake be acting like holier than thou sometimes. Like, you know, you could go see a movie, right? You know, you can go, grab a dinner with your woman. You know what I mean? You may have to drop a couple bucks, but damn, man, go do something. Get some experience, man. That's another thing too, man. Jake be sitting inside the fucking crib and not doing shit. All they do is just read scriptures, and I'm saying this loosely, man. You know, because I don't want to say reading the scriptures is shit. That's beautiful. The point being is that all you're doing is reading your scriptures, watching videos, making lessons, but you have no worldly experience. You know? Absolutely no worldly experience. Like, get out there. Then it makes you more wise. It makes you a more complete man. All right? You see? It's crazy because you have Jake haven't got, and I'm not, hey, if this is the case, brothers, say so be it. But I'm just, like I said, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, man. Point being is you have Jake that hasn't gotten laid in fucking 5 years or so, right? Hasn't had a serious relationship in their lives, talking about women and stuff. Like, bro, you don't got any experience with women. Fall back. Real talk, just fall back. Yeah, you may be able to say a thing or two, but you really don't know how to, you haven't really dealt with women like that. So how are you gonna talk, about it? You know what I'm saying? You see? That's just an example. You haven't even really been in the workforce like that, and you're trying to give out pointers. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's another thing too, man. I gotta touch on that. You'll have certain brothers that haven't had. Now I get it. Sometimes the Lord has you in a situation where He doesn't have you working, right? The Lord wants you to, maybe. I'll say this though: if you're not working, look, the Lord wants you to, get better at something. Of course, first and foremost, spiritually. Maybe you need to read more. All right, get more into the breakdowns. Maybe get into the Hebrew, whatever the case may be, right? But I'll say this too. Maybe the Lord wants you to get in shape, man. Some of you brothers are really overweight, man. It's not good. Then, hey, like I was telling, there's a particular brother that I try to, exhort, try to build him up. I tell him because he's having an issue, getting jobs and all that. And I said, look, appearance counts, bro. It really does. All right, if you're not looking good, if you're coming in to an interview all scruffy, all right, your hair's not done, you didn't put any lotion on, you know what I'm saying? You look out of shape, you're like, bro, I'm telling you, you're not going to get hired. This is the world that we live in. And I'll say this, if I was, in these positions where, I'm hiring somebody, right, and let's just say something to deal with labor, and I see that you're coming in, you're out of shape, no. I'm not hiring you. No. That's just facts. No. All right? You're looking scruffy, dusty, musty. And you got you're working around food and you come like this in the interview? No. You are not getting hired. No. Okay? And that's just reality. Because that's another thing too. The scriptures talk about what? Self-examination. Jake needs to look at themselves in the mirror and say, damn, man, this is how I'm looking. Even the apostle said it, man. Y'all fucking tripping, bro. Apostle Gabar said it too, man. He said, man, when he first started, his workout journey, right? He said, man, he said he got so big, right? I think he said he was around like 300 pounds or something. I don't know. He was up there though, like high, like 280. I forgot his exact number. He said, and he said like he just looked at himself in the mirror and was like, God damn, man, this is how I look. He was cut. He was cut, and he said he's got to do something about it. And what did he start with? Basic walking. You start off with basic walking, okay? Start off with a nice solid mile, It's not too much, it's not too little. Then you start slowly going up. Now they say that you're supposed to do 10,000 steps a day, right? That's what they recommend, that to really be in shape, right? But if you can't do that, like I'll say this because my job, I can't I can't walk a lot, I'm kind of like stationary basically, so I try to at least minimum get like 5,000 steps. If I could get more, great, And I had a very good day, with my movements. But I'll say this, even that 5,000 steps, I believe that's like, if I can recall, from what it said on my phone, it's like 2 miles, 2.5 miles, somewhere around there. If you could do that, that's great. Start off, it says with a mile and then slowly build up. Okay, ride your bike. Start doing some push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Start hitting the weights. Move. All right, move. Jake B, like I said, just got there because it was funny because I was talking about it with the brother Kapataza, when I saw him on Sunday, right before the elders, live stream, and we were chopping it up. And while we were chopping it up, we were just mentioning these things, man. Like, what the fuck was I gonna say, man? It's Satan. But point being, we were just chopping it up and mentioning all these things about how Jake just needs to get better. I don't know how that just slipped my mind. I had something to say. What did we say? Oh damn! It's about to rain again. But yeah, we were just talking about it, man. How it's just crazy, how Jake just is inactive, not doing anything that that's better for themselves. Oh, that's what we mentioned. Because we had that spirit a long time ago, because we were talking to a younger brother. Like, we had that spirit of not giving a fuck. Oh, the world's going to end, right? Because him and I came in at a very young age. I forgot how old Capo was. I think Capo, he said, I think he was around like 21 or something. If I'm not mistaken. I was 22. And he's been in it, a couple years more than me. And but we've been around each other for a very long time now. But when we first got in, man, we had that spirit of fuck it, America's gonna be destroyed. We didn't really care about shit, not getting sleep, drinking, working dead end jobs. You know what I mean? Which I'll say this, at the time, the church was getting itself together. We were getting our the breakdowns, on point. We were getting used to having a church, order, structure. A lot of things were happening, but now we're older, we're in it. Of course we had to get better jobs and all that. And we were telling the younger brother, like, hey man, get into a trade. Go find something where you can move up in the ranks. All right, yeah, you may have to start at the ground level, but eventually, a couple years in, you might make some decent money. Because I'll say this, at the end of the day, we don't know how long we're gonna be here. So while we're in this place, we got to maintain. Now, we know we're getting close to the end of this thing, no doubt about it. But while we're still here, you got to maintain. You got to keep growing. All right? You see? And a lot of brothers, like I said, they'll be having that, this place is going to be destroyed and let me do nothing. I'm telling you, it's not good. Next thing you know, 5 years passes. Then you're looking around like, damn, I gained this weight. Still living at my parents' crib. You might have been an old brother who was a little older who came into the truth. Damn, man, my wife left. My kid, I don't see my kids. Nah, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just trying to make a point where it's like, maybe if you you made some better decision making, maybe you wouldn't be in these predicaments. You know what I mean? All right. You see? Jake don't be thinking like that. All right? Jake don't be thinking like that. And they got to. Because look, like I was telling my, man, who did I tell this to? I think it was my woman, maybe my kids. I said something. I forgot why I got brought up. I just remember saying this to them. I said, every action has a reaction. You got to remember that. Every action has a reaction. You see? So if you're making poor decisions, best believe a negative feedback is coming your way. Best believe it. Here's my thing though. Don't bitch about it. Okay? When it hits you, do not bitch about it. This happened because of your poor decision making. Okay? You know, Jake be all I'll say this. They'll be in these situations with these women, and it's like, look, Jake, maybe if you didn't pick a light woman, because the scriptures say that, basically, don't deal with the light woman, so don't desire her for her beauty. Maybe if you learn to not fuck everything in sight, right? Maybe you wouldn't be in this predicament. You know what I mean? All right? As a wise man once said in our camp, hey, don't nut in them, nut on them. All right? You see what I'm saying? You know, Jay got to really start thinking about these things. Hey, you wouldn't be dealing with, gut issues if you were eating healthy. You wouldn't be dealing with gout if you ate healthy, if you worked out. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be dealing with all, these heart issues if you got your ass up and started moving. You wouldn't have knee and joint issues if you lost weight. You know what I'm saying? All right? You know what I'm saying? So you really got to start thinking about this, and every day is critical. And that's how I'll be seeing this, man. Every day is critical. All right? I always be saying this, man. I got to do something productive. If I don't, then, man, I just wasted an entire day. Now, sometimes you do need rest. We all get it. Sometimes you just may be in the spirit of, man, I need to rejuvenate, which is definitely necessary. All right? But sometimes, we've all been there where you didn't really do nothing and the whole day goes by, and then now it's nighttime and you're like, damn, I didn't get anything accomplished. I didn't do anything, and now it's going to, roll over to the next day. Now I'm going to have to, do double the work. You see? All right? So it's just something to think about. I'm going to end this lesson, Salaki, no scriptures came out. Just, it's in the spirit. So I was just quoting more things. I was, on this walk and talk anyways. Hopefully this was edifying. Like I said, I'm going to end this lesson. And watch that video. The elder brother Kapatazar's video is heavy. Him and the brother, like I said, he's an up-and-coming elder brother too, man. He's been there for a long, long time. That brother's got a high position in our camp as well. But hey, the brother Shakar, the brother Kapatazar and the brother Shakar, they did an excellent video. Called "It's Time to Man Up, Jacob," something under those lines. Brother's page is Sirach 4 and 28. If you're not subscribed, head over there and subscribe, man. Yeah, you're gonna be edified. Brother Kapatazar, man, he makes heavy videos. He's well seasoned, been in this for a while, so he's got a lot to say, man. So you listen up, take heed. That's another thing. Take heed to the counsel that's being given to you. That's another thing with Jake. Just a little side note before I end this. Mind you, all this is counsel. Videos like this, sometimes you have your, counsel, amongst brothers, right? Face to face. Sometimes it may be through reading, whatever the case may be, right? But this is counsel from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Take heed to what's being said and start applying things to your life. All right? Do not fight the spirit. I'm telling you, you fight the spirit, and that stuff is going to, man, you're really going to be in a pickle, man. I'll just say it like that. Follow the spirit. Listen to what's being said. All right, and with that, hopefully this was edifying. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Also, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you brothers out there. And, shalom and a baba ba.